All right, it's the #1 issue in American homes, getting your financial house in order. Well, today in our weekly financial fix, the importance of having a will or some type of estate planning document, even if you're not married and perhaps you're just living together. Karen Lee is the author of It's Just Money, so why does it cause so many problems? And she's also a columnist in this month's Ladies Home Journal. Woo! Yeah. Congratulations, it just keeps coming. The hits keep coming, Karen. Okay, so we're talking about 55% of Americans don't have a will. That's an extraordinary number. And I would suspect that maybe proportionately the number may be even higher for those who are single or living together because they figure, you know what, why bother?
Why, right. And for 25 years, we've been telling people you've got to have a will, but it's usually always been married couples with children. And it's mostly been about guardianship. So let me give you a little example before we start talking about this. Let's say you have a couple our age. They've been married before to other people. They're living together now, and let's say they buy a house together, but they put it, let's say, in the man's name, and he's got a child from a previous marriage. For whatever reason, they put it in his name. Okay, she's helping to pay the mortgage and the bills, and he dies.
Something happens.
No will. That house goes to the child. She is out. So a will can solve that. And I think I have had 3 different times this past month, people come to me with scenarios like this.
Interesting. You know, a lot of people avoid the whole will thing because they just don't want to think about, you know, the inevitable. They don't want to think about the potential of something terrible happening. But if you plan, then you at least have a safety net. Yeah, exactly. So how do you get started?
Okay, we're going to start by talking first what happens if you die without a will. It's called dying intestate, and there are laws of intestacy on the books of every single state. So the first point is know your state laws, because if you die without a will, your state's going to dictate where your assets go. Now, it's typically going to be spouses and children first. If no spouses and children, then you're looking at parents and siblings. But let's say you have none of that, but you do have stuff. If you don't have a will, the state's getting your stuff and your money. So no will equals no control.
My goodness.
I would think most people would want to leave stuff to a friend or a charity.
Yeah, and I think once they hear that scenario, maybe that will inspire them. So is that really a will? Is that the only way or the smartest way in which to let family members know your intentions?
Right. It's not the only way. There are 2 things that trump even a will, and that is the actual registration of an asset. So in our example, if a couple did buy a house together, joint tenants with rights of survivorship, it wouldn't even matter what the will said. It would go to the other one. So registration of accounts, you can actually title your bank accounts to Fredricka Whitfield, transfer on death to so-and-so. And lastly, anything that's got a beneficiary designation, so life insurance, IRAs, and 401ks, all have a beneficiary designation, and that also trumps.
Is it a problem if that contradicts your will?
That goes first. Your beneficiary designation is going to be #1.
Wow. Okay. Sometimes people think, you know what, I've written it down somewhere, I put it in a safe, that's going to be enough. Handwritten wills versus one executed by an estate attorney, etc.
I have to tell you, a handwritten will is pretty much a thing of the past. They used to call them holographic wills. And
how about even online? People
that's going to be another one of our points. Well, let's first talk handwritten. I would avoid at all costs. I did a bunch of research, and virtually no states even take these anymore. If they do take them, there are very specific rules to how they must comply. I'm always asked about online will writing services. I'm going to start by saying something's better than nothing. I mean, if it's hard enough to get people. But you know, I'm going to tell you what my lawyer friends tell me. They tell me that the legal jargon varies so much from state to state. It's so easy to mess up, and it could void your whole will. So I'm saying on this one, skip the flat screen TV this year and get yourself a will.
Okay, now when should you update a will? Say you have one, or you've had one for 10 years, 15 years, marital status changes, family structure changes.
Exactly. You're hitting all my points there, and I'm reluctant to even bring it up because we're trying to get the 55% to write one in the first place. But if you have a will already, you do need to update it anytime with birth of children, changing your marital status, any substantial life changes, estate planning. So I'll give myself as an example. I wrote my first will 2 weeks before my first child was born. I updated it probably 7, 8, 10 years later because we were starting to build assets and the estate tax laws. I am waiting about 3 more years. My youngest child will then be of majority age, and we're waiting for some estate tax laws to get fished out in this new administration.
So often. you often have to make modifications.
I would say you're probably looking about every 10 years. Also, if you move from one state to another, it's recommended that you at least seek legal counsel.
All right, very important. And you know, this really is something that, you know, couples will talk about, married couples will talk about, families will talk about, but so often when people live together, they don't think that this applies to them, but it should.
Exactly, and when I wrote that article for Ladies Home Journal, it was about the married couple, and I thought, you know, this is something everyone needs to be thinking about.
Right, all right. Karen Lee, thanks so much for helping us think about that and actually act on it too with that great advice. Thanks,
Fred.
All right. And of course, you can get more information from Karen's book, It's Just Money, So Why Does It Cause So Many Problems? Or reach Karen at KarenLeeAndAssociates.com.